Okay, today we are going to be taking a look at vectors. Again, it's an extension, but we're going to be doing that. So we're going to learn what a vector is, how to describe it, its magnitude and direction, and we're going to look at operations with vectors. So a vector is any item with magnitude and direction. Magnitude being the size and direction being direction. So if I wanted to name this, I could give it A maybe, and I could say that vector A, okay, and I always do my x component first, so side to side and then up and down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So vector A and 4, 2. And we don't use parentheses, and actually the symbol here is only, I carried away one of those, okay? And we use what looks like the greater than or less than signs to indicate a vector. Just like parentheses indicate ordered pairs, this indicates a vector. This is my initial point, and E here is my terminal point. All right. So we can describe it as an ordered pair, and here you see we have no ordered pairs, but what we do is we make a right triangle, and we have our x and our y, and we can use trig to describe that. So if I'm going to find the x coordinate, I'm going to use cosine. So cosine of 18 equals x over 80, or x equals 80 cosine 18, and that equals approximately 76 and 85 thousandths. And y is going to be my sine. So sine of 18 equals x over 80, or y over 80. So y is equal to 80 sine 18, and that is approximately 24 and 721 thousandths. Now, to write it as my ordered pair, my x value, we're in the second quadrant, so my x value is negative, so negative 76 and 85 hundredths, and my y coordinate is positive, so 24 and 721 thousandths. When I talk about direction, we're going to talk about it in terms of north, south, east, and west, and the degree. So this first example here is 46 degrees west, because that's the direction it's going, of south. Okay. Here, this is 29 degrees north of east. Okay. And that's how we talk about the directions with our vectors. Okay. If I want to find the magnitude and direction, I can again use trig and the Pythagorean theorem to do that. So if I want to find my magnitude, which is the size, this is our magnitude. So I'm just going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So I've got 20 squared plus 10 squared. I'm going to say m squared because I'm looking for magnitude. So 400 plus 100 equals m squared. 500 equals m squared. If I take the square root of both sides, that's 5 times 100 equals m. So I know it's 10 root 5. So my magnitude is 10 root 5. If I'm looking for the direction, that means I'm looking for this angle right here, and I'm going to use theta. So I've got to use tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent, or tangent theta of 1/2. So because I'm looking for an angle, I'm using the inverse and plug that into my calculator, and I'm going to get 26.6 since we're doing angles. So we say that this is 26.6 degrees south of east. Okay. To add vectors, all we're going to do is we're going to add the x-coordinates, so 4 plus 9, and the y-coordinates, 5 plus -7. And that's going to give us 13 and -2, and we call this the resultant. Okay, so now when we find the resultant of adding the vectors as an ordered pair, so if I call this my vector A, its ordered pair would be -2 and 4, and if I call this B, B is going to be, so I did it again, the double arrow for array, B is going to be 3, -4, or -3, -4. If I add my x's, -2 and 3 is going to be -5, and then 4 and -4 is 0. Now to draw it, I'm really just going to translate my B vector so that it starts at the terminal point of vector A. So it's -3, 4, so I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, and down 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's the terminal point. And you notice that we ended here at -5, 0. So here is my new vector A plus vector B. Okay. We can also do other operations. We call this scalar multiplication. So basically 2 times vector A, -2 and 4. So that's going to be -4 and 8. All I've done was multiply -2 to my each coordinate of my vector. For -3 times A minus B, I'm going to do -3 times -2 times 4, and then subtract vector B, 1, -5. So that's going to give me 6, -12, minus 1, -5. So 6 minus 1 is 5, and -12 minus a -5 becomes -12 plus 5, or -7. So just some simple arithmetic basically to do operations with our vectors. So today we learned that a vector is any quantity with direction and magnitude or size. We can use trig to find the direction, and we can also perform operations on vectors. So you guys have a math-tastic day.